Welcome to Straight Outta Savannah, where the magic happens. Heather Vickery is here, and I am just so grateful and thrilled that she has shown up today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Heather Vickery helps people go from pressure-filled lives to pleasurable ones so they can be successful with ease, holding more and feeling like they carry less. As a renowned transformation coach, certified human design guide, and board certified NLP practitioner, Heather leverages 2 decades of entrepreneurial and leadership experience to help women and queer folks lead from embodied joy. She helps clients unwire all the stories society has laid on them so they can lead authentically and love their life. As a respected author, keynote speaker, Broadway producer, and global podcast host, Heather champions everyday bravery and self-empowerment worldwide. She's also the executive producer and co-host of the award-nominated podcast, Was It Chance? The show about taking intentional risk for creative success. So Heather, welcome in to the show.
Thank you for having me. I feel like it's unfortunate we weren't recording before. I feel like we had an amazing conversation before we even started the conversation.
The thing about it is, and you know this, those conversations are always the best.
They're so good. We got to get in the habit of clicking record and then editing out what we don't want.
No, I actually think about that. But as we talked before, I am not that type of editor.
No, I get it. Me either.
I don't have those skills.
My podcast co-host does all of the editing because it's not going to be me.
I use AI editors now, but no, that is not in my skill set. I do not have that type of patience. That is what that is.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm just always curious to hear how people got into what you do, especially the NLP part, the human design part. I know about that. I know mine.
What is your human design?
I'm a reflector 2/4.
I am not surprised. You know how rare a reflector is, right?
Oh, yeah.
1% of the global population. But I can feel that energy from you. I would love to have a whole separate conversation and talk about what your lived life experience is, even more than we've already done, because I don't often get a chance to meet a reflector. But yeah, transformation coach. I have been an entrepreneur almost my entire adult life. I learned very quickly out of college that while I worked well with people, I do not work well for people. Maybe it's the Gen X in me, but I do not like to be told what to do, even if it's the thing I should be doing. I'm like, and it's funny because now I have a 16-year-old, she's homesick, and she's just like me. I was like, hey, you should blow your nose, you're stuffy. She goes, now it makes me just not want to blow my nose. Whatever it is. If you tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm like,
not going to do it.
You are my kid. For sure. So I started off as a luxury event and wedding planner here in Chicago and ran that business. It was successful. It was really fun and I loved it. But then I had a huge personal life transformation. I came out of the closet after a decade of marriage and 4 kids. And I thought, who do I want to be in the world? What is for me? Because I was starting to figure out what wasn't for me. We often have to start in reverse. I used to even do that as a wedding planner. I loved the clients who would come in and say, I have no idea what I want, but I know what I don't want. Because the ones that come in and tell you exactly what they want, it's very hard sometimes to make an image in your head become real. Sometimes you just have to stay open to the unexpected.
Yes.
And if we think we know exactly what we want, and that's the only option, we don't stay open. So I'm going through this process myself. And I started to notice that people saw me, coaching found me before I found it. People started stopping me, calling, texting, emailing. I want to start this. I want to stop this. I want to change this. I want to do this. I think you can help. And I was like, okay. Let's talk about it. And it turns out, so I am a 1/3 splenic projector in human design. Projectors are here to guide and lead. Of course, is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And it felt like a good fit. And the response was obvious. And I was getting the invitations. And that was game changing, right? So I started as a good old fashioned traditional business coach because I'd been in business for a long time. Then I realized I don't I could tell people how to run their businesses. I don't want to. I care about the human experience.
Yes.
Not that I don't care about everybody's business. I care about how you feel doing your business. I care that
Yes.
you're enjoying your life.
Yes.
And everything that I coach and teach on has been a journey that I have wanted to go down myself. So human design was the first one. I heard about it. I was curious. I was scrolling through social media and I saw a certification program and my spleen went, "You have to do that." I said, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you have to do that." I said, "No." And my spleen's, "Yep, that's it." And I said, "Okay, but I don't know why." It was scary because I didn't know anything about human design. I like astrology, but I don't understand astrology. So that was crazy, but I thought I would never use it at work. Of course, I use it all the time at work. And NLP was the same thing, right? I feel like concepts that come to me that I think I've never heard before, which of course there isn't such a thing. There are no new ideas, just new ways of presenting them. But I
Yeah.
hadn't heard these things before. I start implementing them and I start developing them. And then a couple of years later, A, it's really popular. And B, we're learning the science behind the spiritual. See, they're not really very different. And when you start to look at the quantum physics of things and the amazing neurology of things, so let's take, for example, the concept of what you focus on grows. Okay, first of all, it's a catchphrase. It sounds maybe like it's a little trite. It's deep roots in woo and spirituality, but it's true. And now, not only via quantum physics and neurology, it's actually true, right? Because your brain zeroes in on it. It looks for more of it, it amplifies it. So I got into NLP because I was fascinated with it for myself and was just blown away with how all of these things merge and marry really well together and how we can actually shift people on a subatomic neurological level. It's game changing. See, 95% of our behavior is subconscious. So if you think of like an iceberg, and the little bit of the iceberg you can see on the top of the water, that's your conscious mind. That's the part you're aware of. Everything else runs on the subconscious. It's under the surface. And through the NLP work, we can shift thoughts, patterns, behaviors, beliefs across the board on a neurological subconscious level. If mindset alone could get us everywhere we wanted to go, we would all be there by now. So you have to have the mindset to start, Tammi. That's really important. You have to be willing to explore and to play. And a lot of times you have to be willing to suspend disbelief. I don't understand, but I'll tell folks, you don't have to necessarily believe me. You just have to be open to being surprised. You give it a go and we create changes. I'll have clients that'll come back and they'll go, "I can't believe it. I haven't had that problem in 2 weeks since I talked to you last time. I didn't even realize that wasn't happening anymore." It's quiet work, but it's really powerful work. And as soon as I did it, I knew I had to take it to clients. But everything I've done, I started for me. Positive psychology, I took myself through that course and certification program as well, because I wanted to shift and change myself. And now I know it works. So it's easy to bring it to clients.
That is phenomenal because it's such important work.
Thank you.
And just like you said, it's the quiet work. It's like when you work with people that have chronic pain,
Yeah.
they want it to be over in an instant.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is not morphine. This is not that.
Yeah.
This is not bam when you're out and then you don't feel any pain at that moment.
There's a process for sure. Although I will say some of these things, they just work rapidly. It's still work, right? Internal work, transformation work is still work. But there are some NLP techniques where I get to look people straight in the eye and say, you know what? Sometimes it gets to be easy. It can't always be easy. It's not usually easy, but sometimes. So for example, I do subliminal audios. I have married human design with subliminal audio. I have an entire content library of human design specific audios. So you can get your type, strategy, authority, profile line, environment. Oh, and all the centers, open or closed. So it's custom to your chart. Subliminal audios are amazing because they don't require anything except for you to decide to click play and you listen while you're going on and doing your business. And it's a very subtle, quiet subconscious reprogramming, but it absolutely works. What I hear from most people who use them is I don't know, suddenly I felt like I had a little bit more energy. I was a little more calm. I made those sales calls that I've been putting off forever because it's just a quiet internal shift. We have a technique called swish, which I really love. It's kind of funky, but it's really fun. We can shift people out of, let's say, food habits that they wish they didn't have. Happened for me and amazing. We had when we were practicing, we had to pick a food and I was like, but I don't want to give up my food. I like my food. I don't want to not eat my food. I was like, oh, you know what I could give up is Diet Coke. I could give up Diet Coke because I know that shit's not good for me. It's no harm, no foul if I give up a Diet Coke. It's been a year and a half and I have not had one. About 6 months later, I thought, let me just see what I think. And I tried it. I was like, I don't want that. It works. It's easy. Takes about 10 minutes. So cool.
That is so cool.
So cool.
That's just cool. Just the thought of that, because you were talking and I said, for me, I don't really do sodas. We do these random ones, occasional, but we're not people that buy cases of
Good
Coke
for your
or
body
whatever.
and your wallet. Don't do this.
Don't do 'em.
Me and my water.
But I allow myself to have 3 a month.
Okay. Which is fine.
Listen to what you said. Some months I don't have any.
There you go.
And I'm like, oh, I haven't had a Coke this month. Because what I do is if I feel like I want a Coke, I go get a Coke.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a Diet Coke. I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm not doing a Coke Zero. I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing a real Coke.
Yeah. High octane Coca-Cola.
If I could find a joke cola, I'd be doing a joke cola. Which they hard to find now.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Those got me through college.
But we can use that. There are so many tools and techniques. The subconscious work is wild because you do it and then you just go and you live your life. And then when we do the reflective piece in coaching, then we start to go, oh, wow, that's really created a shift because it's not big, loud. That's what we're talking about. It's not big, loud. Oh my God, everything's different. It's subtle changes,
Yeah.
but it really works and it's fun and it feels different and it feels confusing to clients when we're doing it, which is the point because we're messing with the subconscious, right? You're not supposed to understand what's happening. You can't control this process. Yeah.
And that's the part I think that people have to get to.
Yeah.
Because it's okay, but I don't know what's going on. You're not supposed to know.
Yeah. You're not supposed to understand it. I sometimes do subconscious reprogramming work with my partner who's a manifester and she's a control freak. And I would get so frustrated trying to do subconscious NLP work.
What's her sun sign?
She's a Sagittarius. We're born 2 years and a couple days apart.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both Sagittarius. But finally, the last time because she asks for it, because she's super into woo and all of this work, and we're doing it, and I can watch her. I was like, here's I figured out the problem. You're trying to control the outcome. I can see you trying to control it. You can't control this process. You have got to relax. You've got to go in and know that you're not going to really understand. You just have to follow my cues and do the things I'm telling you to do and let it work. You get to relinquish control. And she was like, okay. And it has created a big change, but it would drive me crazy. I'm like, why do I hate doing this work with you? I'm like, oh, because you don't relax. You don't let me do it. So folks, you got to be willing to play.
Like an Energizer bunny. I told somebody, I said, I know when I'm out of alignment, when I'm trying to act like a manifesting generator. And I'm not that.
Let me tell you, it has been game changing. So I'm a projector. My 2 oldest daughters are projectors. And then I have a generator and a manifesting generator.
And I think those are what I have.
I have lived my whole life with this feeling of whatever it is, shame or less than that I can't work like everybody else does. Now, where a lot of people, I'll get projectors in my door all the time and they function like generators and they're miserable because they're not generators. And I'll say, I never could. I just couldn't do it. I was supposed to do it. I was supposed to hustle all the time. I just couldn't do it. And then I just felt bad that I couldn't do it. And then when I got this language, oh, I'm supposed to rest more than I work. I'm supposed to rest to be successful. And I recalibrated not only the way that I felt about it, but the way I started building out my schedule. Literally game changing in my life, game changing in my business. And understanding with my 2 oldest that they need to rest. These kids cannot push themselves all the time. But my generator, she never wants to stop. She got to go and go. And I need to let her do that, right? So
Yeah.
it's such a gift to be able to understand. I'll channel my inner Ted Lasso to be more curious and less judgmental. Understanding everybody, we all operate so differently.
Yes. I think about that because I think that my children were a manifesting generator and one of them is a manifester or something like that. And I can't even think about it. I'm like, how in the world did I raise them? But then I think about it.
But you mirror them to themselves. That's what a reflector does, right? You give somebody what. So I imagine there's maybe some tense moments because a lot of times we don't want to see ourselves.
There's always that.
Sure,
But
there
now
is,
I
but
understand it.
exactly. Yeah.
I used to think it was like an attack on me.
Correct.
I realized I was like, nah,
Not
it
about
ain't
me.
me.
That's right. That's right. I had a CEO once who wanted me to do charts for her whole team. And her executive assistant, who she struggled with, was a reflector. And I said, this is why, because you don't want to see all of the struggles that you're having, but she's going to show them to you. That's just what's going to happen. So get good with it, or maybe give her a different position.
That might not be the thing. I love it. And the way that you integrate it is what I love.
Thank you.
Because we just talked about this whole situation and you brought that right in as if it belonged there. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I've interviewed a few human design folks and I love the way you did that.
I appreciate that. I do believe it makes a huge difference. My work we start with human design and then we bring in the NLP, because until we truly know ourselves and we're willing to work with what we've got, we want to amplify what's actually ours instead of trying to continue to force things that are societal. Once you're good with that and you're like, okay, let's explore that, then it's much easier, I think, to come in and do that subconscious work because we've already shed some of that nonsense that was put on us.
Yeah. And as a human design guide and an NLP practitioner, how do you feel like these modalities help women and queer folks unwire all of the inherited stories so they can reinvent themselves from a place of truth rather than survival?
Yeah, absolutely. The truth is that as a community, and I can only speak to, and I think this is really important, I speak to the communities that I'm in. So this is certainly not saying it's exclusive to these two communities, but women and queer folks, we're raised to have certain expectations separately, usually often different ones. And it's so insidious. We often just don't even know that we're operating under somebody else's protocol because it's just what we've seen modeled and what we follow that path. And we don't feel right. Something doesn't feel good, but we don't necessarily know what it is. Sometimes we don't. And it's easier said than done to just shed that, to just not care and to do what I call taking radical responsibility for ourselves. So see what's happening out here in the world or between the two people in front of you or whatever it is. That's knowledge. It's information. You can observe it. You can learn something from it. But it's probably not necessarily about you. Maybe sometimes, but just like you said, your kids would be upset. I had to realize that's actually not about me. You can observe it and gather information from it. And then when we're taking radical responsibility for ourselves, we say, now, given this information, who do I want to be? How do I want to be?
Yes.
Is there something I can do? Yes. Okay, do I actually want to do that thing? Yes. Okay, then I'll do it. Beyond that, I got to let this go. I can't carry this weight. It's not my responsibility. It's not our responsibility to be in control of everyone all the time, to manage everyone's needs and expectations. It's such freedom to recognize that we aren't responsible for anyone but ourselves, even our children. We're responsible for caring for them, but they have to be their own people. We have to do the best we can, but we have to let them be their own people. My mother, still to this day, and I love her, treated me like an extension of her. And our children are not an extension of us. They're their whole own person.
They're whole people. And the thing is, too, as mothers, you know your children. Now, my children are all grown, and I birthed two. My daughter, I think she'll be 7 or something.
Wow.
But
You don't look old enough for that. Look at you.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I love that.
Shade it.
Looking good, my friends.
But yeah, so I think about that. But you know your children. You know which one is going to do what and how they're going to do. And then when you know their details and stuff, like their design and their astrology as well, you know what I mean? And so you kind of can understand a little bit. And then, I knew that I had one child that I had to keep him busy.
Yeah.
Stuff. Always.
That was your manifesting generator child right there.
You already know he's a Cancer.
Yeah. Oh my.
So I had to keep him doing something he loved. That was his thing, and I had to keep that. And I recognized that early.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of parents, they don't recognize that, and they don't see when they do, just like you said. They view their kids as extensions of them, or I didn't get to do this, so I'm going to push this off on her and make sure that she goes to the Ivy League college, and we have that goes on.
And it lacks consent, which is a really big word right now. And I am really in love with it. We hear that and we think about sex, and obviously that's important. But consent in so many ways, I think, is just so powerful. If we decide for somebody what they need, we're taking away their autonomy. We're taking away their voice. It doesn't serve anybody. And just recently, my mom, 72, she said, "You're the best thing I've ever done." And I know she meant it as a compliment, but all of a sudden, then that erases everything I've done in my own life. And I said, "No, Mama, you're the best thing you've ever done." She birthed me and she did a good job raising me, but I deserve the credit for the successes in my life. And she deserves the credit for the successes in hers.
Yeah. But that's conditioning.
It's totally conditioning. Yeah, absolutely. And this conditioning, and once we see it, awareness, I know that you know this, awareness is the first thing required for any shift or change.
That's right.
Because once you know something, you cannot unknow. You can ignore it.
Yes.
Or you can do something with that information. And usually that's about the time a client comes to me. There's awareness on something that's not working. That doesn't feel good. I'm not loving this result. I've got anywhere from stay-at-home moms to partners and CEOs of firms, big firms. They come and they're like, something doesn't feel right. Okay, you're aware of that. We can work with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is, if G.I. Joe said, knowing is what? Half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. And I think about,
I raised my kids with that.
So I love that.
Knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. And I'll just throw a monkey wrench in it, because knowing is half the battle. And also, what if what you know isn't the only thing that's true? I spend a lot of time with people on that, because if we think we know for sure,
as two things can be true.
2, 3, 4, lots of things can be
at
true
at the same time.
And so if we limit ourselves to the pathway that we think we know for sure, we have almost these blinders on. We're down this corridor, and there's so much else happening around us that we're absolutely leaving off the table. And yeah, maybe that thing is true, but could other, and this is all the time, every day with clients, could anything else be true? What else could be true? And they'll talk through it. Are there any of those things that you would like to be true? Do you want to play with that? Do you want to explore? What action would you take? Who would you be if that was what you were going to see if it was true? You want to try that? You want to see what happens?
Love it. Absolutely love it. So as we prepare to land this plane, this has been just a phenomenal discussion.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts that you have concerning somebody that needs what you have?
Last thoughts on it. I would say it's okay to say yes to yourself. If you're curious and you want to explore anything like what I've been talking about, whether it's with me or somebody else, you have to first decide you're valuable and worthy enough to say yes to yourself. And I promise you, you are. The answer is yes, you are. and play, explore. Like for me personally, I do a free live show on Thursdays on Substack, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Come hang out. Get on my schedule. Go to my website and we can do a discovery call, or I do open office hours on Tuesdays. Just come and see what feels good, right? There are lots of ways to solve a problem, and my way might be one of them if you're into it. But say yes to yourself and just figure out today what's one thing that feels good to say yes to yourself for.
Yes, I love that. I love that because that has been my whole thing for the last, I think, almost 2 years. I've been talking about people pleasing and, and the
Doesn't
sacred
work.
yes and the sacred no, and saying yes when you want to say yes and no when you want to say no.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah.
because we've been conditioned as women, especially,
Big time.
to always sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I know that it's time for that contract has ended.
It's over. Yeah. I think on a cosmic level, it has
It
truly.
has.
And people are starting to wake up. But then what happens then is we don't know how else to be.
And that's the other part. And that's the reason why I do my workshop, Permission
Yeah.
Revoked.
Do
So
it.
women to just not decide that it's time to stop asking for fucking permission.
Yeah.
Do what the hell you want to do.
Give yourself
And in
permission
many
what the hell
ways,
you want to do. The only
in so
permission
many
you need is
ways,
your own.
because we're conditioned and they did a good job. They did a good job. So the last question that I have is, if there was anything in the world that you would change, what would that be and why?
So I'm going to tell you what I told you when you told me you were going to ask this question. It's a really heavy question in 2026 when there are so many things I would like to change. But I think if we could make one collective change, it would be more kindness and empathy for those who are different than us. Because if we could crack that open, I think it would solve a lot of the other issues.
Yeah, I agree with that. That almost it goes without saying.
You would think so.
But yet here we are.
You would really think that there wouldn't be a challenge on kindness being a foundational element. An unearned, there's no requirement for earning your kindness and your empathy towards somebody who's have a different lived experience than you. But again, those are the people who think they know for sure and they got their head down and they're just walking their know for sure path. What happens though is when they meet somebody truly and they're open minded enough to hear about somebody else's different experience, you can't unknow that. You either willfully ignore it or you do something about it. So I just wish we could, with more open heart and open mind, more folks could have kindness and empathy.
I love that.
Thank you.
And I think that you're so right. It doesn't cost anything. I tell people, I said, kindness is free.
I think that the people who can't seem to do that, I think they think it will cost them something. Probably their power. People are so power hungry.
Yeah. And of course, there's got to be money somewhere under there. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Do you feel like, I know we're wrapping this conversation up, but do you feel like there's a big cosmic shift on how we're going to exchange goods coming?
I have been feeling that for a minute.
Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be, but I really feel like it's coming.
I prefer to be positive. That whatever it is, it's going to be fine.
I believe so too.
And I believe that whatever we need, we have.
My morning affirmation, my arms in the air, and when the weather is nice, my feet on the ground, is everything is always working out for me.
Yes.
The outcomes adjust as abundance flows because everything is always working out for me, and what I desire desires me.
Yes. I have just got into this frequency where, because I sat down and I wrote down all of these things that I'm releasing
It really seems so
burning it,
powerful.
right? I'm going to go outside and burn it. And as I was sitting down writing it, I said, I need to write this post on when you leave survival. So I did. I sat down and I wrote this post on when you leave survival, because I felt like there came this place where, even though I don't think I was in survival, but I felt like I was.
Yeah.
There came this space where I had been having these conversations with God. And it was like, do you even know who you are? And I was like, do I even know who I am? And this actually sent me on maybe about 2 years. It's been about 2 years.
Wow.
On this journey where, I kind of I stepped back from some things and shifted out of some stuff.
Good for you.
And I said, gave myself space and time.
Yeah. I think we're always evolving.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I love that.
And I tell people, I say, every decade for me, it's like I make a radical shift.
That's beautiful. Be doing that. We should all be doing that. Yeah.
But you know what? I think that we all do, but I think that we're not all conscious of it.
Yeah. Or we feel like there's something broken or wrong. And if we could shift that mindset to one of cracking out of that shell that doesn't fit anymore.
Yes.
Right. And creating a new one.
Yes.
Because we are always evolving. We're different. Every second, we're different people. It's why you can read a book when you're 20 and go back and read it when you're 40 and you have a different experience of the book because you're a different person.
I'm like, even movies.
I love it.
I can watch different movies that I seen 20 years ago, and I'm watching like, wow, I didn't even notice that in this movie before.
Absolutely.
And it's okay. And I think it's the same with us, which is why I love having these conversations around spiritual authority and midlife reinvention, because I feel like this is us.
This is us.
This is us. We could do a show.
We could. Well, I appreciate you having me on to have a chat, for sure.
I'm so grateful that you joined me. Heather, her details will be all in the show notes, y'all. So make sure that you go there, and her links will be there and everything. So definitely go check her out and follow her wherever she connects with you the most. Where is the place that you spend the most time?
Probably Substack.
Love.
I'm also on LinkedIn, but I'm not super active. And I'm on TikTok, but I mostly just do book content. Book content and repurposing political content. So my work stuff is on Substack. I am not on any of the meta platforms for my own psychological safety.
You know what? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because, I get that completely and totally. Because I tell people, I said, Substack, I really like
I do too.
Health-wise.
Mm-hmm. Are we connected there? We need to make sure we're connected there.
I think that's where we connect.
Is that where we first met? Okay.
I think so. Because
Okay.
I was trying to remember.
Oh, I think you're right. Because then you sent me a DM. Yes. Yeah. It's a lovely place. And Notes is a really nice way to build community.
Love it. I've been really just kind of working over there and stuff like that, and just building. I like the fact that you can write, you can do a video, you can go live. I was thinking about it. I was like, I haven't been live on Substack, I don't think this year.
Gotta do it. I just did 15 days straight of live about different ways that joy is a skill that will elevate your life.
Nice. Oh my God, I have to go find that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's funny because I focus a lot on joy, right? Why do we want to have an easier life? Why do we want to feel more successful? All of it leads to wanting to be joyful. We want to have a life that feels good. And it's not a soft skill, it's a hard skill. And so I thought, I'm going to go on this big journey. How much content can I create about joy? And it turns out months and months worth of content about joy, which is really cool. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. We're going to have to end this conversation, but we just keep going. But my daughter is going to, I got somewhere to go.
I'm trying. Look, I understand that. So tell her we're wrapping it up. Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. This has been just the most amazing conversation.
Thank you so much.
So definitely, we will definitely have to do something again. But Tom, I appreciate all of it.
Me too.